New York Giants fans, it's your boy's birthday. I am live. We are talking about it. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of A Giant Issue Live. I'm Coach Gene Clemons. It's my birthday. Hey, listen, we are live everywhere. We're live on New York Giants on SI YouTube. We are live on the Coach Gene Clemons YouTube. We are live on my X account. So if you're over at X, shout out to all of you guys. We're live in Facebook. We're live on Twitch. Everywhere that I can possibly be live at, we're live at, except for Instagram. And that's because Instagram be tripping. I don't really know why they be tripping, but ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great and I'm not exaggerating, a great last year around the sun. Um we started this podcast not even a year ago. I've been absolutely thrilled with the thrilled with the way that it has been received. I've always been excited to be be working content in the New York Giant um market because quite honestly, it's a lot of you. A lot of you, a lot of differing opinions, people that don't agree with me, people that agree with me, people that think that I'm crazy, people that think I don't know what I'm talking about. But what I do appreciate and what I've always appreciated is the willingness to hear me out, right? And that's all I've ever really said with anything. Hey, listen, I'm willing to entertain the conversation if somebody wants to, tell me about it. So, like, shout out to the Big Moo for getting the first happy birthday coach in on the YouTube. I appreciate it. And while you're there, everybody make sure that you go ahead and hit the subscribe button on the New York Giants on SI YouTube page. You definitely want to do that. And shout out to everybody that has come along for this journey. We went from, when we first started getting 20 and 30 views to now over 500 into the thousands on every time we drop a pod. And I really do appreciate everybody that's come along. This YouTube channel had less than a thousand subscribers when we first started. And because you guys came along on the journey, because you heeded the words when I said, hey, make sure you subscribe, we've been able to continue to grow this thing. And it's just been a great time. It has not been great for the Giants as an organization, right? Hasn't been great for the Giants as an organization, but it's been a great time to talk about and get in, because if you can be dedicated to a team now, right? Like if now was the time that you're dedicated to a team, then there's no doubt that you're a fan, right? There's no doubt that you really rock for this team if you can be, 10 toes down with the Giants right now. I'll say this. A lot of people are upset at what the coaching staff has done, what the front office has done. They blame the owner. They blame a lot of people. Hell, I heard somebody blaming media people today, which I thought was kind of funny. We'll talk about it. But the one thing that you can't take away, right? The one thing you can't take away is that everybody cares. Everybody cares. And there is nothing worse than having to cover a fan base, right? To having to give information to a fan base that we know does not really care about the product. It's just a good time, right? Like that's to me, that's the best thing. As long as I know you care, everything else we can kind of figure out. So like shout out to Iman Perry. I'm glad you're able to catch me live for the first time. Shout out to Out Off-Roader. Um, for the happy birthday, Iman, happy birthday, and all that. I really do appreciate it. There's no place that I would rather be outside of maybe one. If you know what I'm saying? Outside of maybe one, there's no place that I would rather be than right here talking about all things Giants and anything that you wanted to know about me. Because I realized, like, for a lot of you, you don't know who the hell I am. Like, I just popped up one day with a podcast and started talking, right? So I just wanted to kind of give you guys and like rewind because I started covering the Giants several years ago. Um, and I've been doing it for the New York Giants on SI this entire time. Patricia Trainer, shout out to UPT if you're listening out there. Patricia Trainer brought me on. She wanted to do, some more like game analysis as far as from an X's and O's standpoint. If you saw my X and O's, the Joes, usually you're going to get a good grouping of those when we get into the summertime. Once we get, the new free agents into the mold. Once we get the rookies into the mold, I'll go through and do good, great, and uglies on all of those guys, and that's kind of what it was. And I don't know if she even realized, like, hey, this guy is a real legitimate journalist. But yeah, I come from a journalism background. I've always believed in not trying to do things that were outside of your purview. So you don't see me trying to break news. Why? Because the way I was brought up, in order to break news, you had to have an actual source that you could cite, right? And two, that you had in the tuck just in case that one source decided that they wanted to flip flop on you. You couldn't even bring it to print, right? So, like, I come from that level of journalism. I come from that level of background, newspaper journalism, where that stuff would get you fired. And now all you have to do is say allegedly or sources or and people just take it as gospel, which is really interesting in this market because if I'm being honest, there's a lot of people in the market that are just lying to you. They don't have any sources. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't like really understand anything at the level that they're trying to make you believe it, but they're saying it with such conviction that you go, oh, okay. Or you go, it's plausible. Not possible, but plausible, right? And you let them cook. And then it becomes fodder, either negatively or positively. And they don't care as long as it's getting clicks, as long as it's getting people to push the button, as long as it's getting people to stay on the site. That's what that's what they care about. So, like, I get that. And I understand that that's the world that we're in. That's just never been my way. Hey, here's what I know. There are 20 million or more New York Giants fans out there. I just want a piece of y'all to rock with me, right? Can I just get like, I don't know, 1%? Can I just get 1% of the New York Giants fan base to rock with me? Hey, I'm content. You know why? Because if I get 1% of you guys who really, really rock with me, then we can make some things happen, right? I'll have the other people on. We'll talk. I had Teron Davenport on. Go check out that episode. That was a few days ago. I talked to TD about the idea that the Tennessee Titans, who are also possibly in the market for a quarterback, might entertain trading down and how that might work out for the New York Giants, who have been rumored to be trading up. By the way, that's where I want to really start at, is with this idea that the New York Giants need to trade up and get a quarterback. We're going to talk quarterbacks here for the first part of this, I promise. But I'm going to be here for a while, so buckle in. Hey, shout out to you, Tom Frey. Happy birthday. Love to show your perspective. I appreciate it, man. That's what it's here for, right? We all want to have our perspectives. By the way, there are a lot of people in the content world that I don't really rock with. A little bit arrogant for me. Will quickly tell you that you got to watch the film, which is the dumbest ish ever. Like, why would you ever tell somebody who works in the industry, who coaches for a living, that they need to watch the film? Clearly, that's the first thing I'm ever going to do. That's how I made my bones. Playing it, watching it, studying it. But I do like to watch. I do like to look at their perspective, see what they have to say. Why? Because I'm not. I don't. I'm not the end all to be all. Right? I'm not the end all to be all. So I like to see their perspectives. But there's this idea that the Giants have to be in play to move up if they want to guarantee themselves a quarterback. Right? And to that I go, why? Why would you have to move up to guarantee yourself a quarterback if everybody is saying that these quarterbacks aren't that great? Why would you move up in the draft to procure a quarterback in a draft that everybody is telling you they're not great? Why would you move up in the draft to take a quarterback in a draft class that people are saying is one of the weakest in recent history? If you don't believe in these quarterbacks, right, then isn't there a good chance that the other guys don't believe in these quarterbacks as well? So why would you, New York Giants, have to give up draft capital to move up into a spot that is already occupied by somebody that might not be looking to take a quarterback? And then, right? And then if everybody, if 1 and 2 decides, nope, we really do want to take a quarterback because we believe in him, and Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are gone at 1 and 2, fantastic. Most of the fan base has been polarized about whether to take a quarterback or take best player available. And here's what I know: Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are not the best players available in this draft. They're by far and away the best quarterbacks in this draft, and therefore by default the best players, but not the best players in this draft. Travis Hunter is the best player in this draft. Oh yeah, I know. Somebody will say, "Well, he's not a better wide receiver than Terrion Arnold." Okay, cool. Oh, he's not a better cornerback than Will Johnson. Okay, cool. Now find me the person that can do both. Find me the person who's up for Defensive Player of the Year in the country, and then also is the Biletnikoff Award winner. Find me somebody who won the Heisman not because they ran a punt back on special teams and they played cornerback, and sometimes they lined them up at wide receiver and ran a slant with them, but somebody who was a 1,000-yard receiver, a double-digit touchdown guy as a receiver, and also a number one cornerback. Like, find me that guy, and I'll say, okay, I'm willing to entertain. Right? There are players in this draft who people think are generational. So if for some reason you don't get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, shouldn't you be satisfied at getting the best player in the draft? Or if you don't get one of the two quarterbacks, doesn't that trigger the opportunity for you to trade down and acquire more picks, since your team has a depth issue and you need to influx it with young talent? It only makes sense to me, right? It only makes sense to me. Hey, shout out to you, Greg. Greg Farrell, I appreciate the birthday wishes. So I think it's interesting, right? Because I don't listen to everybody, but I do. Let me explain. I listen to what everybody says, but that doesn't mean that I believe everybody, right? I know that this time of year is misinformation time. So I get it. And you're right. 59 Ways to Groove. I don't know how they kept their jobs, but we're here now. What? Like we're here now. So it's as crazy as it is for me to say, because if you've been following this podcast, you know I thought both of them should lose their jobs. I thought both of them should have been on the guillotine at the end of the year, but they didn't. So now what? Do I sit around and just bang on the fact that they should have lost their jobs all summer? And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, right? I'm not saying that's what you're doing. 59 Ways to Groove. I'm saying for me, it's time. For me, it's time to go. Okay, what's next? For me, it's time to go. Where else are we? Like, what else are we gonna do? Like, how are we going to move forward? And when I say we, I don't mean the Giants. I mean the people who cover the Giants. Is it just going to be smear campaign, smack campaign, smack campaign? Or is it going to be, okay, here's the reset button. Now let's go. And for me, that's what this is going to represent. Today is going to represent the reset button to go. But I can't leave just yet. Right? The reset button will take place, like it'll take hold tomorrow. Because today I gotta say some things, right? So I don't have to sit here and defend Shadur Sanders. Now it's just become in vogue to talk bad about Shadur or to defend Shadur just to get like notoriety. I've been on the Shadur Sanders train since he was a freshman at Jackson State. If you go and check me out on X at Gene Clemons, I've been talking about Shadur Sanders since the moment he touched foot at Jackson State and took over as a starter. He was playing like a veteran at 19 years old as a freshman. So there's nothing for me to defend anymore, right? I don't have to defend Cam Ward because people have decided that Cam Ward is QB1 based off of them not liking Shadur Sanders, not based off of anything factual. Because if we're being honest about it, Shadur Sanders, if they both had the same elements, right? They both had the same elements. If you give Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward's offensive line and running game, he puts up far superior numbers than Cam Ward. I really and truly believe that. If you gave Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders' offensive line and lack of running game, you know what Cam Ward would do? He would have success. But he would have had to have more success with his legs because he would have been out there running for his life. It just is what it is. So, like, to me, it's 6 in one hand, half dozen the other. Both are good. If the Giants get Cam Ward, cool, let's go. If the Giants get Shadur Sanders, cool, let's go. If the Giants come away without Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward, okay, let me see what the pick is. And now, what are you doing at quarterback? Because it better not be, oh, we just re-signed Tommy DeVito. He's going to compete for the starting position. Like, nah, we're not doing that. Yo, shout out to the Big Moo. You heard what he said. Subscribe out there. Hit the subscribe button. We need to get it done. Like, my next goal is 3,000. Listen, it's been me and you guys. There's 20 million Giants fans. Can I just get like 50,000 of them? I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. I want 50,000, but I'll take what we got right now. So, like, listen to Big Moo, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead, subscribe. The analytics says I still have like 48 to 50 percent of my viewers that are not subscribers. So it's a lot of opportunity to grow. Appreciate it. You know, Iman Tommy Cutlets. It's a great story. He's a great story. He's not somebody I need to see out there, right? Running my offense. Although I like him as a number 2, number 3 guy because he can come in and operate the offense because he knows it. So from that standpoint, yeah, sign me up. But I don't need to see him. I don't need to see him in the game unless necessary. Shout out to New York State of Mind. I appreciate it. Happy born day. I'm happy that I was born. Gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Even though it's Thursday. Cause why not? Right? Um, here's something that I was thinking about, right? I was thinking about this the other day. We we don't sit around and wait for things to happen. We make things happen. Like, we're an aggressive society, and by the way, for you guys that don't know, I was born in Paterson, New Jersey. Paterson, New Jersey. We're not sitting around waiting for things to happen. Because sitting around waiting for things to happen, you can miss something. In my house growing up, we had a saying: sleep late, lose weight. Because if you sleep late, the breakfast is gone by the time you get up. There were many, many times as a young kid that I woke up and there was nothing left but a biscuit. And you quickly find out, my grandmother, no complaints. Hey, why'd y'all eat all the food from that boy? Nope. Hey, you sleep late, you lose weight around here. What does that mean to me? Get your ASS up and do something. And so now I'm sitting back going, what is this team going to do? What is this team going to do? And this is why I'm thinking it. This is the part where y'all going to be mad at me. Right? And I apologize ahead of time because I don't like that I have to say it. But I have to say it. Dave Gettleman was right. Dave Gettleman was right. Dave Gettleman took Saquon Barkley with the 2nd overall pick, right? And everybody says, oh, you could have had what? You could have had this. You could have had that. We could have had this. None of those have won a championship. Dave Gettleman was right. He got a generational talent. He got a generational talent and then tried to build around the generational talent. The problem was there was a need, there was a desire to bring in a quarterback that would get the fan base just as excited as Manning did. So they went and found an Eli Manning clone. The problem is that the clone, the duplicate, is never as good as the original. So the truth of the matter is Daniel Jones has a lot of Eli Manning in him. But the ability to rise to the occasion at the big moment, that didn't transfer on the copy. It didn't transfer on the copy. Right? Oh, if we're being honest, Eli Manning, some of the exact same bonehead, what were you thinking, interceptions that's been going on here with Daniel Jones, right? Eli Manning, sneaky athletic back when he was in his youth. More athletic than he was given credit for. Maybe not as athletic as Daniel Jones, but here we go. Right? Like, this is where we are with how this team was put together. He wanted Saquon Barkley, and then he wanted them to win with the running game. He put pieces in place to win with the running game. And then he stopped doubling down on the running game. You know what Philadelphia never stopped doing? They never stopped doubling down on the running game, even going as far as to have success with a running back and say, no, that back's not good enough. We need a generational talent. And that's when they went out and got Saquon Barkley and immediately won a championship. So for everybody saying that Saquon Barkley was a mistake at number 2, I just want you all to know that every single person that you wanted to take ahead of Saquon Barkley has yet to win a championship and probably will never win one when they are the man. Saquon Barkley won a championship being the man. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Dave Gettleman was right. Listen, it pains me to say it because God knows he made some really questionable decisions. But that is what everybody points to when they talk about where the Giants fell off the rails. Everybody points to Saquon Barkley as where the Giants fell off. Everybody points to Saquon Barkley and says that, oh, that's where things went wrong. Right? Everybody points to it and says, hey, the organization set itself back when they got this guy. Right? That's what they do. They say this is what took us down. I hear people always saying, and again, this is it. I'm hitting the reset button. So tomorrow we're on to what's new, right? But today, everybody continues to say, some of my favorite New York Giants fans, by the way, continue to say, hey, Saquon Barkley wouldn't have done that here. And my response is always the same. Well, why? Oh, because we don't have that good offensive line. But why don't you have that good offensive line? The Eagles didn't go out and get a bunch of first-round draft picks. They went out and put together an offensive line and built on it. Right? We're still trying to figure out what they're going to do with Evan Neal. You think that Philadelphia doesn't know what to do with Evan Neal? I guarantee you Philly knows what to do with Evan Neal. And it's not put him in back of a journeyman offensive tackle so that we can look like idiots because we haven't found a way to use this supreme talent. I guarantee you that much. So, Dave Gettleman was right. We just got to say it. New York State of Mind. I would like to hear your take on fans saying Giants should wait for Arch Manning if you haven't already. I've touched on it, but I'm willing to talk about it again. This regime won't last until Arch Manning comes out. Why would you ever tank, or kick the can down the road for a prospect you're never going to get a chance to coach? Right? Like, why would you do that? And shout out to PT, because a lot of you guys learned about me through me being on the Locked On Giants podcast. That's where a lot of you got the first, look at what Coach Gene Clemons is all about. And I appreciate you guys coming on over to the New York Giants on SI and hanging out with a Giant issue. Definitely glad to be here. Appreciate the birthday wish. Bet I bleed blue. Neal would be an all-pro at Philadelphia. Duh. Right? What are we talking about? Hey, how about something? Neal would have been a Pro Bowler with the Giants last year. But they ran Van Roten out there the entire year. Evan Neal's first game back during the preseason, the dude moved half the line out the way on a run play. You know what they did? Everybody talked about the one play that he let somebody get around him that didn't even result in a sack. This dude has been a monster in the run game. He's always had trouble, even in college. He's always had trouble with the pure speed rush. Because he has trouble with this pure speed rush, it means he has trouble with the secondary move when people go inside. Why? Because he's overcompensating to get outside, and he opens up the inside move. How do you solve that? You put him inside, and now he has someone on both sides, so he never has to extend to go get anybody on the pass blocking, and he never has to worry about the move inside because he never extended to go get someone in the pass blocking. That's how I see it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hey, shout out to all the people, by the way, that still be popping in those super chats. Feel free if you wanna, drop a little something in your boy coffers for the for the drinks tonight, because there will be libations. I really appreciate it. So there we are with where this team is. I don't ever want to hear anyone say another thing about Dave Gettleman. Was he the greatest? No. He was absolutely not wrong about picking Saquon Barkley. And by the way, after the Giants regime, would not even re-up him at 14, 15 million. Philadelphia doubled down and just gave him $20+ million a year. Ugh, it's so hard. So hard. Another thing that's been, being bannered about is the quarterback situation. The quarterback situation, as far as filling it through free agency. And we've heard some names. We know that there was legitimate traction, right? We know that there was legitimate traction for them going after Matthew Stafford. I'm happy it didn't work out, but there was legitimate traction there. There seems to be legitimate traction for Aaron Rodgers. And here's what I'm figuring out. There may be legitimate traction on the Giants side, but I don't know if there's legitimate traction on the other side. I'm starting to feel like these players are using the Giants to run the numbers up for the team that they really want to go to. Because who was out here bidding for Matthew Stafford? Who was saying anything about Matthew Stafford other than the Giants? Where else did you see anyone saying Matthew Stafford go? It was only to the Giants. There's a chance that the Giants were bidding against themselves for the services of a guy that they would have had to give up draft capital for and then pay a boatload of money. Man, come on. Come on. We already talked about it. Iman, it's been a steady diet of this. The best guys on the team have always been Dave Gettleman guys. That's why I believe they keep getting Dave Gettleman. They keep trying to get Dave Gettleman's guys out of here. I believe they're trying to get Dave Gettleman's guys out so that nobody can say anything about who is building this team and who runs the show. Right? Shout out to Brolo. So I look at this and go, and go, was Matthew Stafford the way to go because he was a name? Or was he the way to go because he would have been a great quarterback to get? Here's how I'll tell you. If Matthew Stafford was a free agent, bring him in, right? Because you don't have to give up anything to get him, right? You don't have to give up anything to get him. Hey, Charles, that's a great question. That's a great question. Why did they keep Dexter? They kept him because he's one of the best in the NFL. It would have looked away getting rid of a Dexter Lawrence in his prime, right? It would have looked away. The same way that it would look away if they got rid of an Andrew Thomas in his prime, right? It would look goofy. Here's how they spun not keeping Xavier McKinney. They said that it was not a position of a high value position. Y'all heard all of the people around saying that. Oh well, it's not a high value position, so you don't pay a safety. You just go get another one. That's what all of these people were saying. That's why they didn't bring back Julian Love, another Gettleman guy. That's why they got rid of McKinney. But in the trenches, you can't just get rid of one of the best defensive tackles in the league and one of the best offensive tackles in the league. However, let those two have one more season of them not making it to the end or dealing with injuries. And I will be willing to bet a Buffalo nickel on the fact that they will get them out the paint if they feel like, oh, now is the time I can get them off and people may not question it. I will be willing to bet a Buffalo nickel if Andrew Thomas has another season where it ends in injury, right? If Dexter Lawrence has another season where he deals with injuries that he has to get shut down, the rumblings will begin about them trading those guys away. Not releasing them because they're still too valuable, but trying to trade. You'll hear this. Hey, if we're not going anywhere with Dexter Lawrence, why don't we trade him and get maximum value for him while he's still at the top of his game? You guys know it's coming. Like, we don't have to pretend as if we haven't seen this before. We just heard that the Kansas City Chiefs are out here trying to sell Joe Thuney. Why? So that's the thing. Like, why they kept him? Because it's hard to explain why you get rid of the best dude in the league. Remember, they didn't re-sign Saquon. Why? Running back's not a high value position. They didn't re-sign Xavier McKinney. Why? Safety's not a high value position. Hey, and you know what? Someone just said something. Tony, you're right. The way they're going, they won't be here long enough to do that. That's the way they're going. But if you didn't hear me before, when we get to tomorrow, I'm hitting the reset button because I'm not going to spend all summer just out here bagging. I'm going to then say, okay, show me what you're going to do now. Here's where we are. What are you going to do about it? But I agree. They won't be here long enough if it stays bad to be able to do that to those guys. They won't. They're bugging anyway, right? Where is the value? Where is the value in having players on your team and not using them to the best of your abilities? So, bring me back to the quarterback situation, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a better prospect to pick up for the Giants only because he's a free agent, right? Here's the problem with Aaron Rodgers. And I forget. I think it was Dan. Was it Dan Snyder? Not Dan Snyder. What is? It'll come back to me. But one of the Giants content creators, who does some video breaking down, and it's a little bit on the pretentious side. Like a really good know-it-all. Yeah, Dan Schneider, right? And if I'm mispronouncing his name, I apologize because I'm not trying to do that. He was saying that all of the people who talk about not wanting Aaron Rodgers because of what we perceive his issues to be, right? That we don't know what we're talking about. Like, we don't know anything about these people. And I'm here to say that Dan Schneider could not be more wrong. He could not be more wrong. Because Aaron Rodgers has told us who he is. We've gotten opportunities to see Aaron Rodgers talk on a week in, week out basis. We've gotten a chance to see his personality. We've gotten a chance to watch him interact with young wide receivers. Do you, like, from a pure talent standpoint, are you guys telling me that you believe that Aaron Rodgers is still good enough to elevate a team that was 3 wins to a playoff berth? Hey, and shout out to El Jefe. Appreciate you chiming in, my guy. Kill Hall. Appreciate it. El Jefe, by the way. El Jefe be killing the skits. I've got ideas though. I've been hitting the brakes, but El Jefe, we're gonna talk. I got ideas. But yeah, so like, we know who he is. He's told us who he is. Do you want that personality around if you're not winning? Because if you're winning, everything's good. Right? If you're winning, everything's good. But if you're not winning, if that just means a 7-win season, are you signing up for that? If Aaron Rodgers means +4, so now you're talking a 7-win season. Are you signing up for a 7-win season and the hilarity or the that comes with Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. Does Aaron Rodgers come into this New York locker room and start demanding that the front office go and pick up all his homeboys just because they make him feel comfortable, when this regime is trying to see what they have in these young boys and getting these young boys there? Does this Aaron Rodgers come in and say, hey, I know I'm only a year, 2 years, I'm willing to mentor a young quarterback? Or does he want them to sign him and then use that first round pick to acquire assets to help him win games? Because, full disclosure, that's what I want. I don't want to see them bringing Aaron Rodgers in and then go out and draft a Cam Ward and watch Cam Ward sit on the bench while Aaron Rodgers goes. Because you know what you're not going to do to Aaron Rodgers? You're not going to bench Aaron Rodgers mid-year when it's not going well and he's not playing well, but we're not winning games, just because I want to see what the young dude is going to do. You're not going to bench Aaron Rodgers with 4 games, 5 games left when you're still mathematically still in the hunt for the, for the playoffs because it's time to see what Cam Ward can do. No, you're going to let him rock. And with the amount of money that you paid him, you're going to let him rock year 1 and let him rock year 2. So now we're going to be 2 years into the apprenticeship of a rookie quarterback. How does that make any sense? And Charles Hefter says, hey, how do we fix this? Hey, Charles, the NFL is the greatest fixer-up flip job in the world. It is literally built for parity. The quarterbacks that have won a lot have changed the mathematics, right? The quarterbacks have changed the mathematics because some of these quarterbacks have been so good that they've been able to win in spite of, right? But not everybody has that. So a tweak here, a piece added there, and this offense can be a legitimate offense moving the ball. I actually think that the offensive line is not in bad shape. One tweak and it could be out of here. Just drop Evan Neal in at guard. If you're saying Jermaine Illuminor is our right tackle, cool, right? Hey, yo, shout out to PT, New York Giants on SI. Once again, to all of you people, you probably met me through Patricia Traina on a Locked On Giants podcast, and I appreciate her, for having me on. Hopefully, obviously she enjoys having me on because I'm going to say something that everybody else isn't saying, and I enjoy the fact that she allows me to say stuff that everyone else isn't saying. It's a great thing. So shout out to PT. Enjoy your evening. I know you probably have like 5 different articles to write right now. But when we're talking about how to win right now isn't putting draft capital into players that are not going to play. So if I have an Evan Neal that I have at least 1 more year with, right? If I don't pick up the second option, but I don't know why you wouldn't pick up the second option, because if you move him and he balls out, he's going to cost you a hell of a lot more than what that money is. It's going to cost you a lot more, right? So you pick up that 5th year option, so it gives you something. So I just think you've gotta make the moves to help you right now and stop thinking about 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Because most coaches, GMs, they don't get to 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Shout out to Anthony Manners. It says, wait, did something happen? Did Rodgers sign? What's with all the standing on a ledge? I doubt they drafted QB and let him rot for 2 years. Let's see what happens before we all get crazy. No. Anthony, I think you're misunderstanding. There is no crazy. If you go out and get Aaron Rodgers, you're committing to him for 2 years, which means that if you draft a quarterback with Aaron Rodgers, that quarterback's not getting on the field for 2 years. And the math of the new NFL is to utilize the rookie salary, your rookie quarterback salary, to go out and get high dollar people in free agency or to re-sign your really good players while they're underneath that rookie contract. So by the time that the rookie comes up for the re-up, all of the people that you signed, they're into the declining numbers of the contract. And now you can afford to get the quarterback. And then, which is going to be most of the money in year 1, year 2, then by year 3, guess what? You're ready to sign another batch. You have to be able to seesaw the quarterback and everybody else. Where teams get themselves in trouble is they try to do everything together. They try to bundle it all together. Bundle the Rooski. Bundle the Rooski do, right? They get everything in. So you can't have the quarterback coming up on a contract the same time as your skill guys are coming up for contracts. This is what happened with Saquon Barkley and with Daniel Jones. And it's the regime's fault because they had the right idea in place. Hey, we're not picking up Daniel Jones' fifth-year option. We don't think he's good enough. He's going to have a season that wows us in order for us to in order for us to re-sign him. And then he went out and had a good season for him, but not a wowzers season. And then all of these people came out and overvalued him and went, oh, well, if he gets out on the open market, he's going to demand this. If I was the Giants, you know what I would have said? And by the way, this isn't hindsight, because if any of you guys who have been following me since I've been on the Locked On Giants podcast, I said it on Patricia Trainer's show. Hey, I'm not re-signing him. I appreciate you, and I'm going back in the draft, right? Or I'm going in and getting a free agency. Remember at that time, they brought in Tyrod Taylor. And in that offseason, Tyrod Taylor outplayed Daniel Jones. And they still gave Daniel Jones a job and said, well, we just wanted to see him go through some adversity. Right? That's what they said. So they got what they wanted. And it didn't work out. Right? It's milk. But because they had Daniel Jones up for contract and Saquon Barkley up for contract at the same time, they couldn't sign Saquon and sign Daniel Jones. What the smart play would have been is to sign Saquon to an extension and then put the franchise tag on Daniel Jones. And yes, it would have cost a lot of money, but you would have only been underneath his thumb for 1 year. So when he has the crash out year that he had 2 seasons ago, you go Pontius Pilate. I'm out of here. Instead, they gave him a contract extension and then put that ridiculous clause in for if he gets hurt, it's guaranteed money. And now they have to look like idiots on the back end because you can't afford for Daniel Jones to get injured and now get a fully guaranteed next year when you're trying to get from up underneath that contract. Now you've alienated Saquon Barkley. You come back the next year, you don't give him the money he should have. He's gone. Right? And it's happening again. Hey, for all of you people out there that constantly said, hey, the Giants are in desperate need of a wide receiver one, I want you to think about something. I want you to really think about this, right? Because I've talked about it before, and maybe you've heard me talk about it. But who's to say that Darius Slayton isn't a number one wide receiver? Who's to say that Darius Slayton at 6'1", 200 pounds, lightning fast, Georgia boy, who's to say that he's not a number one receiver? Oh, well, it's because his stats don't say number one receiver. Okay, watch this. In 14 games, 9 of which he started as a rookie, he received 84 targets, had 48 receptions for 740 yards and 8 touchdowns. That was his rookie year. That was his rookie year. The next year, he came back and had 96 targets, 50 receptions, 751 yards, 3 touchdowns. His 15-yard per reception average is one of the best in the NFL over those first 2 years. What was the common denominator? Poor quarterback play. Then he had to deal the same Daniel Jones that we all had to endure watching. He had to endure receiving passes from. And yet, his level of consistency is remarkable when you consider who he had at quarterback for all of these years. I'm going to run you down the last 3 years. 71 targets. That's his 4th year because in his 3rd year he got injured, missed a lot of time. 71 targets, 46 receptions, 724 yards, 15.7 yards per reception. 79 targets, 50 yards, 770 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. This past year, when they finally gave a wide receiver 1 targets, he had 71 targets for 39 receptions. His 39 receptions, he had 573 yards. This man averages for 6 years, he's averaged 15 yards a catch. And yet, people act as if Darius Slayton was the worst wide receiver in the history of the game. Darius Slayton has been consistent at receiver, and he's never been rolled out the red carpet the way that Malik Neighbors has. In fact, he hasn't been rolled out the red carpet the way Wan'Dale Robinson has been. Wan'Dale Robinson, they gave Wan'Dale Robinson more targets in a season than they've ever given Darius Slayton. And don't tell me it's because he's better, because I'm going to say you are an absolute lie. In his 2nd year, his first healthy year, with 8 starts, he played in 15 games, he only started 8. They gave Wan'Dale Robinson 78 targets. That is upwards of the best amount of targets that Darius Slayton has ever received. I believe that would be his 3rd highest targets if that was Darius Slayton, 78. He had 525 yards and a touchdown. This past year, they gave Wan'Dale Robinson 140 targets. He caught 93 passes. He had less than 700 yards. Wan'Dale Robinson has not averaged 10 yards per reception in his career. He has never averaged 10 yards a reception. This year, on his 140 targets, his 90 receptions, he averaged less than 8 yards a reception. And so many of you out there will tell me that Darius Slayton's not a number 1 receiver, that he's probably not even a number 2 receiver. Trust me, I've had a lot of these conversations. Darius Slayton's not even a number 2. Okay. So why does his stats look like number 1 and number 2 receiver stats. Not the full accounting stats. The averages. Why do the averages look like wide receiver 1 averages? What would happen if you gave him 140 targets? What would happen if you gave him damn near 200 targets? The math says, not Coach Gene, the math says that if you gave him 140 targets, he would get you somewhere around 14 to 1,500 yards. Hey, shout out to Iman, who said Victor Cruz got 1,500 yards on 140 targets. Yeah, you know, Iman, it doesn't have anything to do with the drops. That's the thing that we're getting suckered into. That's what we get suckered into. It's not about the drops. And here's why. Because we're not talking about what he didn't catch. We're only talking about what he did. We're not talking about the amount of stuff he dropped. We're only talking about the production. And he has never been given the targets to get the production. He's getting the production without the targets. Can we all say, oh yeah, if he caught more passes, his numbers would be better? Yes. But if you look at his numbers, if you look at his catch percentage, right? Wan'Dale Robinson's catch percentage, year 3, right? 66%. So he got 140 targets while catching 66% of his passes. Meanwhile, Darius Slayton, right? Darius Slayton's catch percentage in his best year, 63%. 64.8, 65%. That was on 79 targets. He only topped 90 targets one time in his career. The year that he had 8 touchdowns, he only had 84 targets. This is production at a level. This is production at a level of a wide receiver 1, and yet people keep telling me he's no wide receiver 1. Okay, cool. So now let him go. Let him go in free agency. Is he going to go and chase the bag, or is he going to go and chase the opportunity? And if I'm him, I don't chase the bag. If I'm him, I 100% chase the opportunity. If I'm him, I'm going to the team that has 100+ receptions to throw to me. I'm going right to Buffalo, where I don't have to worry about outrunning the quarterback's arm. Because if you throw me 75, 78 passes over there, I'm going to still get you 15+ yards per reception. And even more because your guy over there can throw me the ball consistently deep. If I don't chase the money, if I chase the opportunity, why wouldn't I go get paired up with Rashee Rice? Rashee Rice on one side, me on the other side, an old Kelsey in the middle. They're going to throw all of those short passes to Rashee Rice. They're going to bombs away over the top to me. And on the other side, from the slot, or maybe even on the same side from the slot, running the over route, right, is going to be Xavier Worthy. Give me 80 receptions over there. Imagine what happens if Darius Slayton picks the team that has the targets to give him and not just the team that has the most money. And that'll be another Gettleman piece that this regime didn't value, that'll go somewhere else and all of a sudden be lights out, and then Giants fans will use every excuse in America as of why he's more successful over there and why he absolutely could not be successful here. And I'll say that's cap. That's some BS. You're lying. Sorry, that's just not accurate. That's what I'll say. It's one of those things. Hey, I'm not going to be in here much longer because I definitely want to make sure I get out on Paul Dottino. Paul Dottino will be on at 8 o'clock, I believe, with his Big Blue Breakdown Live. Go check him out. If you already check him out. If you don't check him out, don't check him out. But if you want to see what it's about, he's going to talk some free agency. So you want to check that out, go check that out at 8. And also I want to get to, my birthday shenanigans, because why not? It's an Ask Me Anything time. Drop something in the chat, man, if you want to, any questions. It don't even have to be Giants related. It can just be me related. Like, it could be goofy questions, whatever you want. Drop it in the chat. I'm obviously going to keep talking, but drop it in there. I'll answer it. Anything that you want to know, I'm going to be as honest as possible. Because I don't really have anything to hide. Hey, shout out to Joe Button, by the way, too. I don't know if anybody else watches it, but I'm a patroni on the Joe Button Network. I've got some stuff coming, by the way, that's going to be behind the paywall, and hopefully you guys that rock with me might consider coming over and rocking with me there, but that's way down the line. What would make this team? Because I see, by the way, like all of these different guys getting cut. Joey Bosa got cut. People immediately said, "Should we kick the tires on Joey Bosa?" And my response is, "Yeah, but I thought you said you wanted guys to help you stop the run. I thought you said you wanted guys that could stay healthy." He doesn't do either one of those things. Just recent, right, fresh off the presses, Evan Ingram is back. He's out at Jacksonville. He was cut. I think you bring Evan Ingram back. I think that Evan Ingram would be a perfect complement to what they're trying to build over here. The guys that they have there, the two guys that they've drafted in the 5th round, they're just not good. They're not that good. They're not dynamic. Like Bellinger is solid, right? I think that Theo Johnson can be solid. Neither one of them are going to be great. You know what I know Evan Ingram does when he gets that football? Great things. And the Giants just got out on him way too early. They were cold and calculated with him how they should have been cold and calculated with Daniel Jones. I don't know. It's been really interesting. It's been really fun to see. I'm looking forward to free agency and who they bring in free agency. I want to know the direction that they take. I want to see what they're going to do with Evan Neal, if they're just going to be honest about what they're going to do with Evan Neal, or they're going to try to keep just playing the shell game. Because I don't believe you have to do anything crazy to make this offensive line one of the better offensive lines in the league. They just have to stay healthy, one, and you have to upgrade the right guard. And that upgrade is already on your team collecting a check. So then what you need to do is go and get some guys to develop behind them. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. Put some value into defensive tackle. Put some value into a real legitimate linebacker to put next to your real legitimate linebacker in Bobby Okereke. Would have been great if you'd have fired the defensive coordinator, but I digress. Go out and find another cornerback, not because I don't believe in Deonte Banks, but because you need somebody else other than Deonte Banks. And if Cordell Flott can't stay healthy, then he can't keep getting better. I think Deonte Banks will be all right. I think a lot of what Deonte Banks had to deal with was sometimes just having to cover too damn long. Did he make some mistakes? Yeah. There were some opportunities missed down? Yeah. Was there some bad coaching mistakes? Yeah. They're all true. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I'm getting my head into a positive mode, into a hopeful mode, because I can't just keep coming and giving you dread. I want to be able to come and talk about good things, about positive things, right? I want to be able to do that. I want to give hope. And if we have to say reality, like if there's some moves that are bad, okay, cool. We'll talk about it, but we're going to dwell on some hope. We're going to give it a chance before we crash it. That's what I think we need to do. So, I'm going to enjoy this birthday. I appreciate all of you guys who've come out, hung out with the live. Obviously, off season it gets a little bit more problematic. I had a great time in Indy. I'm a combine head, so like I'm not out there to do all the smoozing and see what the coaches are doing at the, at the bars. I'm out there going, and I'm in the stands. I'm timing 40s. I'm looking to see how people are moving. I'm talking to others around about the prospects. Obviously, still had a good time, but that is my main focus. So we'll talk more about what these guys are doing as we get closer to the draft. We'll do some more lives, all that stuff. But I appreciate you guys joining me for the birthday. Everybody that checked in, everybody that has something to say. I believe that Darius Slayton would ball out with the Chiefs as well, Iman. I think Bellinger could probably be an all-pro with the Chiefs. Yeah, because they have an alien at quarterback. And that helps, right? That always helps. But I really do appreciate it. Make sure that you go to the New York Giants on SI page to get all of your New York Giants news and information. Make sure that you stick right here on the Giants on SI. Check out what we got coming here. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 3,000. And until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons. I've got a giant issue. Happy birthday to me.